All right, when you're ready.
The question is, should we experiment on the human genome? The answer is no. No, we should not experiment on the human genome because it would cause another way to divide society. This would mostly happen through wealth inequality. The answer that I came to while trying to answer this question came from exploring the topic of gene editing through the futuristic and social lenses. I ultimately came to the conclusion that continuing to edit these genes would be harmful to society and the future generations. In 2012, CRISPR-Cas9 began to change the world. This gene editing technology has the ability to alter, activate, or even remove a desired trait from a DNA sequence. It does this by acting like a pair of molecular scissors, capable of cutting strands of DNA. CRISPR-Cas9 serves two main purposes currently: genetic defects and disease prevention. The invention and benefits of technology like CRISPR-Cas9 are continuing to impress people around the world. But as these technologies start to evolve, what would happen if we were able to modify genes however we wanted to? We should not be able to modify the human genome because it would only benefit a certain group of people. By being able to modify genes however you would like, it would worsen racism and segregation, the social class gap, and the lack of diversity. These issues would arise from the societal divide that would be caused due to wealth inequality. Because these gene editing technologies are so new and rare, they would only be available to wealthy people, creating another way to divide our already divided society. Gene editing would be a step back in fighting racism and segregation. People would be able to modify themselves to look like their preferred race and to try and fit in with society. Just like in the movie Gattaca, it shows a futuristic society where genetic mutation is present. People are separated into groups called valids and invalids. Valids would be their preferred race, and invalids are treated like outcasts. Those who are marked invalid are immediately given lower standings, socially and economically, even though discrimination is technically illegal. The difference between valids and invalids seems to foreshadow what racism may look like in a genetically engineered society. While racism today has extended for far too long, and there's no doubt that it will exist in the future, Gattaca allows the imagination that racism will be different in the form of genetic discrimination. One line from the movie that applies to the social aspect of the movie was, "They had discrimination down to a science," referring to the people with worse genes being the lowest in society, ultimately causing the divide. The social class gap would expand due to the availability of these technologies. According to CNBC, the CRISPR technology costs about $2 million per patient, and the average income for a middle-class United States family ranges from about $52,000 to $156,000. This means that gene editing technologies would only be available to upper-class families and individuals. Because of this, wealthy people would climb another tier on the social ladder, ultimately worsening the social class gap. Diversity would also cease to exist because people could almost pick the exact genetics that they desired. This would potentially get rid of diversity because if everyone was going for the same perfect gene, then everybody will end up looking the same. As fewer and fewer people morally object to this, we will see the uniqueness of our society disappear. In conclusion, in order to fight racism, close the social class gap, and promote diversity, we must stop the continuation of gene editing technologies. Although there are a few benefits to these technologies, such as CRISPR-Cas9, the consequences greatly outweigh the benefits. We should not be able to experiment on the human genome because it is harmful to our future, because it will cause another way to segregate our society.
Come on, Ms. Rochelle, clap for it. All right, hey.
I wasn't completely listening.
That's fine, okay. All right, so a couple of questions. What are some ideas, what are some points that you decided not to use in your presentation?
So I was looking into how in the movie Gattaca, you can predetermine someone's future, but I decided to leave that out last minute because I thought it was going too far into the futuristic realm and would give too many other possibilities that I would have to explain.
Okay, very good. How would you say your conclusion impacts our community?
I'd say that these technologies would stop evolving right now to prevent the effects in the future. It wouldn't affect it that much in my opinion because there are still very few ways that this is used and it's so expensive, so it's not very available to many people. So I don't honestly think it would affect our society that much.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.